Hey, welcome back, everybody. And yep, it's another Saturday market update. Here's the thing. When people look at what's going on in the market, and there is a lot of information out there, and some of it is, well, complimentary, and some of it's not. Just understand that our metrics every single week are based on residential sales and in the Seattle, East Side, Puget Sound areas, just to ensure that you're getting very hyper focused information because, well, that's where you're buying and selling your home. And that's where you need the information. So when they start talking about the doom and gloom in Illinois and Detroit and Florida, which really isn't 100% accurate, and some of the other areas, look, has nothing to do with that. Our information, absolutely solid. There's no selling, there's no advertising. So let's get on with it. The real question is, how in the world can we have less inventory, lower mortgage rates, but yet our pendants are up? And that's what we're going to go over, and we're going to take a look at some of what is happening so that you can, well, plan for what needs to happen so you can make the best business decision for you and your family. There we go. I knew I could spit it out. All right. So, excuse me. Let's take a look at our first little thing here. So when we take a look at, so mortgage applications are up. No kidding. And building permits are on their way up. And again, no kidding. Look, we said that when interest rates would hit 6.6, 6.8, all the buyers, that pent up demand was going to come out. And they have, as predicted back in September, October. This will continue on all the way through Q1, the first quarter. Our spring market, okay, for the sellers out there, our spring market has already hit. Normally, we really see that more towards the end of February, first part of March, tapers off mid-May as, you know, the vacation trifecta and whatnot happen. But right now, we're seeing our spring market. So we're seeing a lot of activity. And with the 10-year Treasury hitting that 4% mark, which is kind of an important mile marker, even though bonds did not do very well, that clearly is going to show us that our rates are probably going to stay in the mid sixes, 6.6, 6.7, 6.5. I guess that's mid six. And those are the rates that we're probably going to see for a while until we start seeing some slightly different metrics and the Fed decides to keep their lip zipped as to what they're going to do because they're hot to cold, who knows, right? I don't know. I don't even think they know half the time. I think they just make stuff up. Anyway, I'm just kidding. All right, moving on. So when we come back, we take a look at some of this. So when we talk about better rates, listen to this. Basically, you're able to afford, right? $400 more in qualifying power, or for the same price, you're spending about $400 less per month than what you did just back in October, which is massive and why a lot of buyers are out. And so as you're looking at pricing, remember, price is the first impression a buyer has of your home. Keep that in mind. All right, let's move on here. Let's get back. Let's take a look at this. So our chart clearly showing what we have going on as far as trending. And as you can see, it is a normal seasonal trend.
Okay, so when we take a look at just the average of the last 7 days for single family only, look, we've got 729 homes that are new on the market. When we come down here, look at this, we hit our 1,000. So we've got 1,000 homes that went pended, and then of course 479 that have already closed. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of sellers, 49 that expired and 64 that canceled, and then 82 that the seller lost their buyer, so they're back on market again. So even as we look at these numbers for January, we're absolutely just doing a phenomenal job at 1,000 homes versus what's new coming on. And that's why we're only at 1.8 months of inventory when we should be at 4 to 6 months.
Okay, now as we head into our next slide here and showing you some of the metrics. So the Northwest MLS, which is that big bucket of information, a big bucket where everybody puts their listings in. Now, we saw what's happening over the last 7 days, and that has been consistent. And hitting 1,000, that's super huge. Now, when we take a look at it year over year, let's take a look at it from January 2023 and January 2024. Since we're on the 20th, these numbers are good to the 19th. When we take a look at this chart.
So in today's stats, looking at the same month, January 2023 over or under, I guess, 2024, you can see that we're down still on our listings, and we're struggling quite a bit with inventory again. And these numbers should actually be twice that. They should be in the 12,000 homes, and we're about half of that. However, you can see that the pended homes have actually gone up quite a bit, just shy of 100. And of course, our solds are starting to lag just a little bit, and a lot of that is because we have such a fewer amount of homes available at this time. Rates actually have been bobbling back and forth and being very inviting to a lot of buyers, and that's why we've seen quite the uptick in pended activity.
All right, had to get myself back on that screen and off of the other screen there. So when we take a look at the metrics of what's happening in the MLS, again, we're seeing that increased pended activity, and a lot of that's because interest rates. Well, almost all of it is interest rates. Look, our inventory is super low, but when we take a look at what's going on with new construction, okay, so we can see right here, interest rates at that lower screenshot, interest rates themselves has a big impact, even with the builders, because it allows them, what flexibility, how can they put themselves in front of existing construction? And as you can see, even though our inventory is up, our pended sales are up at about 90-ish homes or so. But nonetheless, we're still seeing, the new construction absolutely doing incredibly well, and will continue to do so because they offer those incentives. It's funny, some sellers just don't think they can do it, and they can. You just have to know, or their agent needs to know how to deliver that, how to structure that in a format that a buyer can understand it. And of course, then their buyer's agent understands, so that they can relay that information. Just saying, make sure that you can have that very solid conversation. Anyway, moving on. All right, so let's talk a little bit about REOs. Get a load of this. So REOs look like they're way up, and they're really not. So let's take a look at something a little bit different.
Okay, so many of you have asked, hey George, when you say that there's just not a lot of foreclosures, let's take a look at the MLS just real fast. All properties that are federally controlled, so Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, HUD, USDA, they're all required to list their homes within a local multiple listing service. So as you can see, we have all of the active. We'll only look at residential. That's all we ever look at anyway. When we come down, we see that we've got bank owned only selected, no other criteria. So what we do is we pop out, and here's Washington State, okay, and you can see that there's just not much there. You might say, oh my gosh, George, here's a cluster. And I look at that and say, no, that's not a cluster. No, we only have one in Bothell, which is North Bothell. Nothing on the east side at all. We have a couple in Seattle, and then naturally we have a few that are smattered throughout here. Now, funny enough, we went through just on a precursory look, we just came up with 5 that are not bank owned. So if you happen to own a property in Auburn or Bellingham or out on the peninsula, or maybe even in the Kent area, and I think one in actually Spanaway, you may want to check with your agent and ask them to make sure that you're not listed as a bank owned home when you are not a bank owned home. But as you can see, there's just not a whole lot there. So if you have any questions, reach out. In the meantime, let's continue.
All right. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful. And now let's move on to mortgages. What are mortgages doing today? What's going to happen? But naturally, before that, let's get this out of the way. Look, if you're looking for super accurate and amazing information, look, this is the best place to get it. Again, You get to see the metrics. You can go back to our hundreds of videos before. Make sure that you are looking at the trends, again, so you can make the best business decision for your family. Let's talk a little bit about financing. Let's talk a little bit about Freddie Mac.
Okay, so when we take a look at Freddie Mac and when we take a look at some of the other financing that is available through other lenders, you can see that our rates have been, well, they've been suffering a little bit this last week. Bonds have actually, well, they've gone down. The 10-year Treasury is performing consistently. It's actually above 4%, just barely, which means that our rates are probably going to stay pretty close to this for a little bit. Hey, remember, you need to watch the video. 5 questions to ask when getting a mortgage rate. I'm just telling you, it's super important. When we come down here, again, the reason you need to watch the 5 questions you need to ask, look at this, conforming loan. You look at this at, at 6.375, and that costs you 1 point to get there, but there's also strict criteria that it takes to get that, and that is what you need to know. How much down? If this requires a 30% down and you have a maximum of $746,000 loan balance, you may not fit this loan program, but yet they have got you in to communicate with, and then many times they're able to capture you, hence the word marketing. Over here you can see that we have some pretty aggressive rates, but there's also some significant costs that go with them. So understand, as you're looking at and getting quotes for mortgage rates, hey, look, it's a free video, and we'll post it down below. 5 questions to ask, and make sure that you take a look at it. Hey, provide us any feedback. In the meantime, let's keep on rolling here.
All right, now it's going to be a great weekend today. There's going to be no rain today, Saturday. Make sure that when you guys are out there, be safe. It is still pretty chilly out there. If you have questions, hey, put them down below. Feel free to reach out. We normally answer them within about 30 minutes, except for on Sunday. Anyway, if you have any specific topic that you would like to have covered, hey, let us know. Again, we just really want to hear what you have to say. In the meantime, you guys have an absolutely beautiful weekend. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.